But anyway, again, my name is Angelo Ronquillo, Head of People Operations from R1 RCM Philippines. So first of all, what is R1 RCM? We are the leading provider of technology-driven solutions for our healthcare providers. So we help them improve the patient experience and at the same time improve their financial goals. And going back to the topic that I really have, I have to juggle with this clicker and my notes just to make sure that I won't forget all the important things that I'm about to share. Okay, so I know this diagram may be too much for an audience that is waiting for a meal. So I won't really go through this that much. To make this simple, diversity is checking who is in the room. Equity is checking who wants to get into the room but cannot, and what are the barriers. And then inclusion is how do we make sure that all the ideas of all the employees that we have are being listened to and they are valued. And lastly, inclusion and belonging that I want to always put together because it means that all of us employees feel that we have meaningful relationship with each other and is treated with respect. So I won't really focus on that much. Okay. I love chicken nuggets. Yes. Am I related to Melay? No. So this picture actually reminds me of how I am exposed to diversity at a very young age. Just to share with everyone, I studied in a Catholic school from start to finish. That means we are asked to pray from time to time, sometimes even in random places. When we hear the Angelus, we stop and we pray there. And I remember a time wherein we have a new classmate. She is a transfer from Cebu. And one day we are praying. She said, "Glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit." And everyone started giggling. That giggling turned into laughter when she said, "Why are you laughing? Devils." I won't deny that I am one of those kids who laughed so hard when I heard her say those things. But after a few hours, it made me think, why is it funny? It was super disturbing for me that I had those thoughts even for days. And then I realized, in movies and in TV shows, Bisaya are always made fun of. Most of the time, characters that are nannies, house helpers that have poor comprehension. So at a very young age, I have that realization that not even racism and regionalism, media made us think that if you are Bisaya, you are funny. And the kids of these days even use Bisaya, even for our generation, as an insult. So, who are from talent acquisition here? I implore you guys to make hiring-based decisions if it's accent-related, to make sure that if you use that as part of the requirements, if it is really relevant to the job. If you're hiring someone from the back end, why would you pick someone who is really good in English, maybe written, but with an accent if it's verbal communication, if they are not really utilizing that for whatever their job purpose would be? And then, I had this experience as well when we went to Green Hills to buy a second-hand phone. I remember it is 3650 that time. It is that phone that has a very confusing keypad, hard to use, but that is the coolest phone that time. And then I realized after walking out of Green Hills that the phone, it has scratches on one side. I wanted to go back inside and ask for a replacement. But my tita said, no, let's just go home, don't argue. I don't really understand what's happening at the time. And she said, most of the sellers there are Muslims. I still don't get it. If they're Muslim, why can't I ask for a replacement? Then she started saying, Muslims there are known for beheading people. If you try to argue with them and whatsoever, you might be hurt. I always hate it when we use religion as a prejudice for something that is not really related. So, as HR practitioners, I ask all of you to make sure that we have policies that are relevant in these days, to get data-driven decisions and start making small changes from a Christmas basket to a holiday basket, and even considering to have a year-end party instead of a Christmas party. And then I started my career as a young HR, a recruitment professional at that time. I was part of a team that's very dominated by the male energy. When I started day one, there is this guy, my teammate, he asked me, Fred, let's play basketball. And at that point, I don't really know if I am about to say that I'm not straight, I don't play basketball, but if you want to play volleyball, I'm in. But that made me feel uncomfortable. That is the time that I decided not to really discuss with anyone about my sexual preference. So I go each day doing my job, pretending I'm straight, until I felt suffocated. It literally felt that I am inside a closet and I'm not even able to do what I am about to do at work. But given my competitiveness, I realized that I should not be down by what is happening within the environment. What should I focus on is the work at hand. So I never really cared of what people may think of me. And by doing that, magically, I was able to hit my target. Because just imagine a flamboyant young gay recruiter reaching out to candidates every day, keeping them warm, and even sourcing candidates outside of the existing pool, because that's just my personality. Everyone was shocked of that change. And I even told my boss that maybe it's because I am already out, I can do what I want to do, and I'm comfortable, and that resulted in positivity. So I'm sharing this experience because I want all of us here in HR to make sure that we make policies and help our employees, especially those who felt the same or maybe feeling the same way right now. If everyone feels valued and that they will be protected and no harassment or discrimination will be done with the members of the LGBTQ+, we are sure that there will be positivity and it will build a really, really productive work environment. So, I've already shared what the value is after we realized what diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging is. So just in summary, diverse teams boost productivity and innovation. At the same time, workplace diversity creates greater opportunities for professional growth. And lastly, it provides better decision making and workplace positivity. But where do we start? First, as what I've been telling you earlier, the first step is knowing your organization. Because nothing will really happen if you're not even familiar of what your organization is, what the values of the organization is, and you never have a buy-in from the upper management. That is always the challenge of every one of us fighting for diversity and inclusion. It's really hard to convince the management that this is something really important. So what I do personally is I show them before I tell them, and then they see the value in it. After knowing your organization and getting a buy-in from the upper management, that's the time that you can create and build your own support group. And that's where you have your own diversity and inclusion council. Make sure that you have your sponsors coming in from different groups within the organization, especially part of the management team. Because by doing that, all of those people who would like to be out will have confidence that the company is really serious in making this happen. After, of course, you need to know the data. So I suggest that everyone starts with a survey. And before doing that survey, wherein you'll tackle ethnicity, sexual orientation, and other personal information, just make sure that you have captured the acknowledgement for data privacy. And then, we should not always think outside the box. The previous generation have been telling us that think outside the box to get the solution. And most of the time, people nowadays resort to automation without even looking at what's in the inside. So in diversity and inclusion, the best way is for us to look what we currently have. Because for sure, we already have existing HR policies. So within that HR policy that we have, revisit it, but this time, look at it with a lens focused on diversity and inclusion. Evaluate each policies, and after knowing the data, let's say you found out that the gender ratio is not equivalent, do something about it. Work with talent acquisition, create a job requisition or job posts that really shows that you are an inclusive company. And then, you need to know if there are existing, because when we talk about diversity and inclusion, most of the time we only talk about ethnicity. We talk about sexual orientation. And most of the time, we forget those that are part of the disabled community. I am proud to share that I'm part of a previous organization that, if not the first, one of the first companies that introduced gender reassignment surgery as part of our benefits package for HR. And at the same time, we are the first company who've hired deaf and mute candidates, moving them to a back office support instead of voice account. That makes us a really diverse company. And lastly, we should all be role models. Because we should not be, if you look at it right now, most companies already have their own diversity and inclusion teams. Sometimes they create organizations named Pride and other teams that are attending Pride events, LGBTQ events outside their area of responsibility. But when you look inside the organization, you'll see that they don't even have enough dress code policy to protect their own employees. So for us, especially in HR, I encourage everyone to make sure that not only in sexual orientation, but also in religion, if they are not client-facing or if it won't really impact the job that they do, make sure that you won't implement a dress code that will make someone feel uncomfortable. Just to share with you, I have a friend, she's working in a hotel, front desk. She's a Muslim. Of course, she needs to wear what she needs to based on her religion. Then, her manager asked her if she can stop wearing that hijab. That is totally unfair. Because no one would ever understand why it is important to show her hair if she's already showing her face and was able to do her job well. She ended up resigning and leaving that company. And up until now, it damaged her morale that she's not even able to apply for a new job. Those small decisions that we do as HR impacts more than what we think of. There are also individuals that I know that they are working for a bank. I won't name names, but since they are client-facing, these are our transgender sisters, trans woman. They are asked to wear polo barongs because they're client-facing, they can't cross-dress. I've known these people for a very long time. I know how they dress, and if it means to just look neat and presentable, I can confidently say that they are. But they're asked to wear polo barong because again, that's the dress code for male individuals. And that is another story of how unfair we are just talking about dress code policy. I won't go through other samples or experiences right now because my focus really for today is to share real life experiences so that all of us in HR would remember. The reason why I created an instant deck is because I don't really want to focus what DEIB really means. I want to leave something that would be memorable for everyone. And as a reminder, just if you are thinking about or doubting about the importance of diversity, equity, and inclusion, always remember what Pocahontas said. If you walk the footsteps of a stranger, you learn things you never knew you never knew. Thank you.